Hey family, what's up? Welcome back to A Loving Lens, where we are looking at a world through a loving, black affirming lens, bringing insight to social political landscape that shapes our communities. In this video, I want to talk about, or rather introduce a new concept I've been working on, something I'm calling controlling narratives. And I want this to be in conversation with Patricia Hill Collins' groundbreaking idea of controlling images. Have you heard of it? Yes, no, maybe so. Some of us are familiar with Patricia Hill Collins' seminal work, Black Feminist Thought, where she introduces the term controlling images. These are the pervasive and harmful stereotypes used to justify women's oppression, particularly black women's oppression. Images like the mammy, Jezebel, and welfare queen. Elon Muskrat. Get it? Because he receives subsidies. Anyway, so Collins explains how these controlling images not only dehumanize us, but also controls how society perceives black women, and in turn, how we might perceive ourselves. These stereotypes are deeply rooted in white supremacy, patriarchy, and to maintain oppressive power structures that are limiting to black women and our understanding. Collins explains how these controlling images not only dehumanizes us, but also controls how society perceives black women, and in turn, how we might even perceive ourselves. These stereotypes are rooted in white supremacy and patriarchy, and it serves to maintain oppressive power structures by limiting how black women specifically are understood. So let's shift the lens and expand on Collins' framework. So I've been reflecting on how these images, they don't exist in isolation, right? They're often woven into broader stories and narratives that don't just define individual but entire communities, right, and cultures, and even political movements. And so that brings me to the concept of controlling narratives. Yes, I'm such a nerd that I read things and come up with ways to expand them. Controlling narratives, as I have defined them, are stories or ideas that are deliberately crafted by media outlets, political leaders, or powerful institutions. And their purpose, well, is to protect certain interests while distorting or distracting us from the real issues at hand. I was thinking of examples of how our government is engaging in controlling narratives now, but that'll just complicate the video. So let's just get down to the basics of this framework. These narrative shifts focus on twisted facts and ultimately serves to reinforce harmful systems of power. So take, for example, the way the media covers protest movements when it's a majority of black folk, right? Instead of focusing on the reasons people are out in the streets and protesting, demanding justice, equality, or like an end to police violence more specifically, controlling narratives shifts the focus. They paint peaceful protesters as rioters or looters, shifting the conversation away from the systematic issue that sparked the protest in the first place. Okay, another example is the marketing and promotion of hypersexuality and self-exploitation to black women below or near the poverty line as a legitimate source of empowerment. Okay, so empowering hypersexualization narratives promotes the idea that a hypersexual and misogynistic rap specifically, which is often celebrated as raw and truth-telling somehow, it is marketed as empowering when women adopt the same explicit content and presentation. It argues that such performances are liberating expressions of sexuality, art, and power. And y'all know, because many of you have echoed these sentiments, as the status quo normalized, again, making black American women synonymous with schmex work. And even though black women are the highest educated group, media promotes a different story. I personally came of age when hip-hop was shifting from hip-hop to mainstream rap music, and I would suggest that mainstream rap music is void of black American cultural values and specifically promotes the debauchery, the stereotypes. Like, there's so much evidence of like media execs connecting with young folk to make music that is increasingly violent, and all that has been well documented and acknowledged. I was coming of age when music videos went from legit art to soft porn videos, right? So the thing about that is when Black folk express concerns about how this content aligns with controlling images like the Jezebel, for example, or the brute for Black men, these criticism are often diminished as prudish or respectability politics or simply hating, right? But these frames, or rather these valid culture critique as betrayals of Black creativity or progressiveness, rather than recognizing them as efforts to protect the integrity of Black cultural values. Y'all see what I'm picking up and like catching? So this narrative disempowers us as a community by shutting down critical discussion about how these images impact Black identity, particularly for our young people. I remember when Black boys stopped smiling in pictures, right? It denies us the agency to decide for ourselves what cultural outputs uplift us versus those that harmfully reinforce the very stereotypes Patricia Hill Collins warned us about, and so many scholars who come before. So by framing genuine concern for the shifts within Black culture as antagonistic or regressive, this controlling narrative keeps us from reflecting on how the commodification of Black art and identity serves external interests. What's key about controlling narratives, or rather what I want folks to get from this, is that it's intentional, right? They are constructed to create a reality that keeps power in the hands of those benefiting from exploitation, often distorting the truth to do so. I have plenty of examples. I think one example is how in the 2000s, how we were talking about the N-word. A controlling narrative was, oh, the N-word, it means different when it's ER versus A. It means the same thing. I remember when using the B word so flagrantly in rap music became normalized, and women and many people were like, this is harmful, this isn't okay. And the response was, the controlling narrative was, well, if you're not a B, then I'm not talking about you. The psychology. So let's think about this. How are we fed stories that shape our understanding of Black life, culture, or even its politics? From music to films to nightly news, who controls the storylines? And whose interests are being protected when we are encouraged to believe that Black culture is synonymous with violence, dysfunction, or failure? Can y'all please stop attacking Black excellence? I did a video on that. Please check it out wherever I posted. Check it out, because Black excellence is not synonymous with Black capitalism, and y'all think you attacking watch the video. We can see how controlling images like those that Collins described directly connects to controlling narratives. I say we can see it. I hope you can see it. They create like a larger, overreaching story about Blackness, about who we are as a people. And the dangerous part is that these narratives shape our policies, our laws, and even how we treat one another. These narratives also help influence immigrants' voting decisions, because a lot of them who listen to hardcore rap definitely voted for Trump. All right, I do want to focus on the positive. I think the good news is that once we can identify these narratives, we can challenge them. We can flip the script, expose the distortions, and tell our own stories that are grounded in truth, complexity, and the full humanity of Black people. And ultimately, we could strategize. So community, as we continue these discussions on this channel, A Loving Lens, I want us to critically examine the stories that shape our understanding of the world, because the more we understand these controlling narratives, the better equipped we are to dismantle the systems that uphold them and replace them with narratives that affirm, uplift, and that empower us. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe, and share if you care. Those are a lot of ads, but luckily they're all free in this economy. Peace, y'all.